Okay, now this is major coonery going on. I've just finished making a video about the murderers of Stephen Lawrence getting, sent to prison, and unfortunately, they weren't given life sentences. They were treated as, or they were sentenced as though they were still, young adults at the time. So I believe they've only got between 12 to 15 years now for their murder. And going 18 years and them actually knowing they were guilty. Obviously, there are things to talk about here in terms of whether or not the sentence was too lenient. Obviously, the sentence was too lenient. But that's not the major thing here. The disgusting coonery that comes straight after it. Dianne Abbott creating... She knew what she was doing, creating a mini storm in a teacup race row to divert attention away from the lenient sentence. Do you think there are black people out here who don't know what you're doing? Now, basically, Dianne Abbott is a white supremacist. Sorry, you're gonna do some Google. You're gonna Dianne Abbott MP for Hackney. You go, oh look, it's a black woman. Yeah, that's a white supremacist right there. And I'm going to break down why. It's already a sensitive time. And you'd think you'd have enough sense to keep your fucking mouth shut and let the public determine whether or not, or, let the public outrage manifest itself in terms of the weakness of the sentences. All you've done, all this stupid coon has done here is given racist white people an excuse to start saying, oh, reverse racism. Now, any black person who's ever had another conversation and you're going into the realms of determining nationality will know that most people are uncomfortable with the term black. Black is not a culture. There is no culture called black people, okay? And therefore you would want to differentiate your own culture from the term black. This is the most basic conversation black people have, and this is supposed to be an MP, so she's having obviously a pre-arranged, prefixed conversation with this coon number 2, Bin Adewumi. Now she's got to be a Nigerian. Bin Adewumi, who obviously doesn't like herself being categorized as black in the same context as us. But basically, what we mean is West Indian, Caribbean. That's what you mean. That's what she means. Now, here's the conversation. Bin Adewumi, I do wish everyone would stop saying the black community, inverted commas, though. And then she goes on to say, which one? Bim then goes on to say, clarify my black community tweet. I hate the generally lazy thinking behind the use of the term. Same for black community leaders. Dianne Abbott, I understand the cultural point you are making, but you are playing into a divide and rule agenda. Bim, maybe. I find it frustrating that half the time these leaders are out of touch with black people they purport to represent. Now, hang on a second. I just thought you had a problem with using the term black for black community and black leaders. Now you want to say black people? Come on, I thought you were going to differentiate. Now, obviously, this is a conversation for white people to misinterpret. This is not a conversation for intellectual black people or intellectual Israelites or intellectual Nigerians or intellectual Afro-Caribbeans, Negro, whichever terminology you wish to apply other than black. Okay, Dianne Abbott. White people love playing divide and rule. We should not play their game. Right, okay, now, Dianne Abbott, you're saying that on Twitter. Everyone's going to be able to see that on Twitter. Do white people play divide and rule? Well, of course they do. All you need to do is go to any world map, get out Google, look at a map of Africa, and every time you see a straight line, okay, it's there. There's no escaping it. And every time you see a straight line, that's usually the division of one culture from another via national boundaries, basically perpetuating a continual war state so that the ruling elite can either extricate themselves or maintain power through a divide and rule policy. Anyone who's done any basic history knows that that is actually the case. Bin Adewumi, I don't advocate divide and rule. Right, you don't advocate divide and rule, but I thought you wanted to distinguish yourself from being black, and you haven't even given an alternative. This Bim Adewemi hasn't even given an alternative as to what she would like to be called if she's not going to be called black. This is so basic, a numbskull, idiotic conversation. It's not black people having a conversation. This is black people having a staged conversation so white people can come in and go, oh, look, they're being racist. I don't advocate divide and rule, but I wish we could deal more effectively with issues without resorting to monolithic view. That is an oxymoron, that statement. I don't advocate divide and rule, but I wish we could deal more effectively with issues without resorting to monolithic view. That's what I'm reading it verbatim. Without resorting to monolithic view. What is this, Polish? Dianne Abbott. Ethnic communities that show more public solidarity and unity than black people do much better. Right, and which is true, but you know, once again, we're using the term black people. Now, initially, having grown up in this country, I know the term black people was in reference to Caribbeans. Okay, I'm old enough to remember the term West Indian youth being employed. I remember West Indian youths before the term black youth started being used, and now we have this sellout coon Bim Adewemi creating a false argument without even proposing an alternative national clarification or categorization, and reiterating the term black herself. This is just ridiculous. It's the most. I could have got through this conversation with my 13-year-old daughter or my 14-year-old daughter when she was 10. She would have been able to understand the distinction and been able to give a nationalistic categorization of herself rather than having to use the term black. So this is a conversation for ignorant white people to look at and level the charge of reverse racism, and that's why I call Dianne Abbott and Bim Adewemi white supremacists. They know exactly what they were doing, okay, and they knew that they would be taking the shine away from the sentence. This happened literally the day after the sentence, when most people are thinking, all right, thank God we got some form of justice. Well, actually, what is this type of justice? Because really, they're only going to really serve half that time. So maybe it's going to be 6 years for the life of Stephen Lawrence. But well done, Dianne Abbott. Well done, Dianne Abbott. I mean, why do you think we haven't heard that much from people like the BNP and so forth? Because we've got coons like this doing the work. Dianne Abbott then actually embarrasses herself by engaging in a live TV interview, which then gets interrupted. You can almost imagine, I don't know, for any of you watching the thick of it, you can imagine Malcolm Tucker on the other end of the line saying, "Well, just shut your fucking mouth and get in the fucking," you know. She embarrasses herself, has to shut up and then disappear off, and then she ends up apologizing for telling the truth. Apologizing for telling the truth. Okay, or was it in a statement Miss Abbott said, "I apologise for any offence caused"? Why are you apologising for any offence caused when that's actually the truth? Because you know this is a setup, okay? And it doesn't even actually look that bad. You're apologising for something that anyone who does 2 minutes worth of historical research to know to be the truth. However, this is, you know, okay, you're going to be seen to be smoothing things over in a PR exercise. I was having a private conversation. Bullshit. I don't buy it. Okay, this is a setup. This is a blatant setup. This is a blatant setup to take the eyes and ears of people away from the sentence. Now we can all just wash our hands of it. We're done and dusted now. And oh look, oh by the way, black people are still racist as well. Well done, Dianne Abbott. Well done.